Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Charts with Dan. It was a slow Super Bowl weekend at the box office, but there were still some records broken, albeit not here in the United States. We'll talk about the big Star Wars record that fell over the weekend. But let's jump first into what happened this past weekend at the box office. Staying at number one was Dogman with $13.8 million, but it fell a steep 61.6%. Not many people choosing to go to the movies, which isn't surprising, given that the Super Bowl is one of the biggest TV events of the year. Dogman's currently at $54.2 million domestic. Heart Eyes opens in second place, the Valentine's Day themed horror film. It brought in $8.3 million. Ke Huy Quan and Ariana DeBose came in third place with Love Hurts, which opened to $5.8 million. Just another thing on Ariana DeBose's post-Oscar resume that hasn't quite worked out. I was glad to see Ke Huy Quan get that lead role too. Mufasa: The Lion King comes in fourth place. It's one of the only movies that posted an okay drop. It dropped just 36.4% for a total just over $4 million. Its domestic total is now at $235.2 million. Companion also had a big drop from last weekend. It dropped 67.7% in weekend number two for a total just over $3 million. Its domestic total now at $15.4 million. In sixth place is One of Them Days, which dropped 51.5% for a $2.8 million weekend. Its domestic total now approaching $40 million. Becoming Led Zeppelin, the IMAX documentary covering the early days of the legendary rock band, opened in seventh place at $2.5 million. Flight Risk dropped 52.9% to come in eighth place at $2.5 million, with Sonic the Hedgehog 3 coming in ninth and Moana 2 rounding out the top 10 with $1.6 million. Moana 2 now ties Inside Out 2 and Deadpool and Wolverine as far as the longest stay in the top 10 for a 2024 release. Dropping out of the top 10 was A Complete Unknown after 6 weeks. Den of Thieves Pantera also out of the top 10 after 4 weeks, and The Brutalist is out after 3 weeks despite being finally in wide release. Looking at the biggest theater count changes for this past weekend, Brave the Dark dropped 1,250 theaters. It's in just 450 theaters. Presence dropped 1,153 theaters. It's now in 586. Wolfman dropped 1,125 theaters. It's now in 916. While Green and Gold dropped 764 theaters, it was left in just 157 for the weekend. Ironic considering it was Super Bowl weekend. And Den of Thieves 2 Pantera dropped 614 theaters. It remains in 856 theaters. So we had 4 of these top 5 films dropping out of wide release over what was already a slow weekend. Just outside of the top 5 when we talk about theater changes is I'm Still Here, which added 611 theaters, by far its biggest week-over-week surge. So if you haven't had a chance to see it yet, the chances are better that it's playing somewhere near you. Looking at what I like to call our road to recovery, the blue line there is the box office weekend average for 2015 to 2019. The red line is 2021 to 2024. And the dotted black line is what we've been doing so far this year. And we were very close to matching where we have been as far as the box office weekend total for all movies. So this really just continues the trend of not so much a recovery to where we were pre-pandemic, but staying just ahead of where we have been in the past few years. We'll see what Captain America: Brave New World, as well as Paddington in Peru and the other holdover movies can do for the box office this upcoming weekend. And as I mentioned, this was Super Bowl weekend, and I wanted to craft a trivia question that was appropriate. So the Charts with Dan trivia question this week is, what is the biggest 3-day opening weekend domestically on Super Bowl weekend? If you watch the show, I'm pretty sure I've said it on the show before, but I'll give you a couple minutes to think of the answer. And here we go. Well, the Super Bowl is all about music, so I guess it's really not surprising that Hannah Montana and Miley Cyrus, the Best of Both Worlds concert tour, is the best ever opening on Super Bowl weekend. It opened February 1st through the 3rd, 2008 to $31.1 million. For you football fans out there, that would be the year that the Giants upset the New England Patriots and ruined their perfect record to win 17-14, also known as the David Tyree helmet catch game. So one of the biggest and most classic Super Bowls of all time, also home to the biggest Super Bowl opening weekend for a movie of all time. Looking at the movies that are hits this year, Mufasa: The Lion King has officially moved past Sonic the Hedgehog 3. It is now the 9th highest grossing film released in 2024. It is now the 9th highest grossing film released in 2024 at $235.2 million. That drops Sonic the Hedgehog 3 down to number 10 at $233.1 million. And this is how Mufasa did it. As you can see, Sonic 3, we covered it here on the show, opened well ahead of Mufasa, stayed well ahead of Mufasa for about 40 days or so. But on its, I believe it would be 50th day of release, maybe 49th day of release, Mufasa finally passed the domestic gross of Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and will end up a bit above it overall. We've been saying this on the show for weeks now, but that's why it's important to look at the legs. And Mufasa the Lion King had really, really good legs at the box office. Crazy to think of where we are now compared to what we were looking at going into the Christmas holiday. Also, one quick note, a movie that was not in the domestic top 10, but is moving up the A24 top 10 is Baby Girl, which passed Moonlight to be the 8th highest grossing domestic moneymaker in A24 history. That's where it's going to stay, though. It doesn't have another $8 million or so to get up to where the Iron Claw is. But that is still a stealthy top 10 movie for A24, given that Baby Girl was not a movie that gained a whole lot of traction. I think it was in the bottom 5 and below for its entire run. Still, enough people went to see it to put it up there for the studio. So Captain America Brave New World is opening this weekend, and just to kind of set the stage for where it might fall, let's take a look at the opening weekends for all movies in the MCU. This is domestic opening. You can see that the low mark is set by the Marvels at $46.1 million. The high mark, of course, is Avengers Endgame at $357.1 million. The tracking, which as we've talked about here on the show, I think is somewhat unreliable. They can't really predict what a movie's going to do. Has it opening somewhere around the Thor the Dark World range, around 85 million, maybe Spider-Man Far From Home at 92.5 million, but you just don't know. There's no predicting this kind of thing, and that actually leads us to our member poll question for this week. How big will Captain America Brave New World's opening be? Are you going to go for a huge underperformance and say that it's going to open under $50 million? Are you going to say it's going to hit where it's expected and say $50 to $100 million? Are you going for a slight overperformance in the $101 to $150 million range? Or are you projecting that it is going to blow away expectations and open to $150 million plus? You can vote right now if you are a channel member. If you're not a channel member, depending on how you're watching this video, there might be a button for you to hit where you can join and become a member and be able to vote in member polls like this. There's also a link down in the description below. And it's not just voting in these polls. You also get early access to some of my videos, custom badges, and emoji. I'd love to have you be a part of the channel so that your voice can be heard. And speaking of, let's get to the member poll question from last week, which didn't exactly go how I'd expected to go. I asked, which top grossing film domestically of the last 4 years would you award Best Picture? And I thought that Top Gun Maverick might win. It did win at 42%, but I did not expect that it would be so close because Barbie hung in there. 36% of the people that replied to the poll said that they would have awarded Barbie Best Picture. Spider-Man No Way Home came in a distant third with 14%, and Inside Out 2 comes in last with 8%. So it's kind of a flip-flop. Last week, I thought that the poll would be really tight and it was one-sided. This week, I thought that it might be a runaway, and it was actually very close. That's why I like doing these polls, because I can never really predict how all of you are going to answer. Let's take a look outside of the domestic marketplace and look at the top 5 films internationally. This is all markets outside of the US and Canada. And Ne Zha 2 is a massive hit over in China. It made $250.6 million just over the last 3-day weekend in China. And we'll look at where that puts it as far as an all-time list in just a second. And look at the fall off for the other films that hit during the New Year celebration. Detective Chinatown 1900 brought in $36.3 million. Boonie Bears Future Reborn brought in $9.2 million. Mufasa the Lion King is able to edge its way back up because of the drop-off in Chinese grosses for everything except for Ne Zha 2. It brought in $8.5 million. And then Creation of the Gods 2 Demon Force brought in just over $8 million. When you combine those numbers with our domestic numbers, we get the top 5 films worldwide, and Ne Zha 2 isn't even open in any other country but China. So that $250.6 million is a single market gross. It dropped just 11.6% from the previous weekend, and its worldwide total is now over $1 billion. It is the first film to gross over $1 billion in a single market ever. Detective Chinatown 1900 dropped 71.6%. That's what we usually see after a holiday in China, bringing in $36.7 million worldwide. Its worldwide total now at $386.5 million. Dogman dropped 49.6% for a $20.2 million worldwide total. Its worldwide gross now at $66 million. Mufasa the Lion King dropped 31% with a $12.4 million total for a $671.1 million worldwide gross. And Boonie Bears Future Reborn dropped 63.8% with its $9.2 million gross. Its worldwide gross is now at $86.6 million. But Ne Zha 2, with its $1 billion single market gross, when I say single market, it's made that much money in one individual market, no other country, means that it breaks a record that's been held for nearly 10 years by Star Wars The Force Awakens. Before that, it was held by Avatar, if we're talking about Hollywood films. These are the top 10 single market grosses of all time. You see that Ne Zha 2 is at number 1 with its $1 billion plus gross in China alone. Star Wars The Force Awakens was the champion with its $936.6 million gross solely in North America, meaning the US and Canada. Avengers Endgame is now in third place with its $858.3 million gross in North America alone. Then we have the Battle of Lake Changjin in China at $855.5 million, followed by Hai Mom at $838.4 million in China. Wolf Warrior 2's Chinese gross at $833.1 million is in sixth place, followed by Spider-Man No Way Home's North American take at $814.8 million. Then Avatar's North American take at $785.2 million. The original Ne Zha comes in ninth place at $737.1 million for its Chinese gross. And finally, we have Top Gun Maverick's North American gross at $718.7 million. But this is a meaningful milestone as far as the worldwide box office and the single market box office, because for the first time in the history of movies, we now have a film making $1 billion plus in one country. And the question is, will North America, will the US and Canada ever be able to replicate that achievement? We have so much left to break down, but before we do, I want to thank the sponsors for this week's show. This episode is brought to you by Mando. For people who celebrate Valentine's Day, this is the biggest date week and weekend of the year. And if you're going out for a big date, or anytime really, you want to feel as confident as possible. That's why it's great to add Mando to your getting ready routine. You put a lot of time into looking great, but you need to smell great as well. Mando is a whole body deodorant that's safe to use anywhere on your body, that has been clinically proven to block odor all day and control odor for up to 72 hours. I use Mando year round with a really great smelling body wash in the shower and some stick and spray deodorant to use after. I'm a fan of the Mount Fuji bourbon leather scent combo, but Mando has lots of different scents for you to try. All Mando products are baking soda free and paraben free, and you can find them right now at Walmart, Target, and other retailers across the country. But for the best deals, you can go right now to shopmando.com. Mando's starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice, like a mini body wash or deodorant wipes, and free shipping. As a special offer for viewers and listeners of the show, new customers get $5 off a starter pack with my exclusive code. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack. Use code DAN at shopmando.com. That's SHOPMANDO.com. Please support the show and tell them that I sent you. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando. This video is brought to you by Manscaped. Movie history is filled with great duos. Laurel and Hardy, Scorsese and De Niro, Gerard Butler in January releases. Well, Manscaped is here with an iconic duo of their own, the Beard and Balls Bundle, the perfect solution to make sure that you look and feel your best. When it comes to personal grooming, you definitely don't want to cut corners or anything else. Manscaped offers 2 great tools to reduce the risk of grooming accidents: the Beard Hedger for, well, your beard, and the Lawnmower for everything down south. The Beard Hedger offers 20 adjustable settings for any kind of beard you want, from nice and tidy to Red Guardian, and the Lawnmower 5.0 has interchangeable foil and trimmer blades to ensure a comfortable experience, plus an LED light to make sure that you're staying on target. Personal grooming is something we should all be doing for ourselves and also for anyone else who might be in our lives. Everybody benefits. Both of these Manscaped devices are waterproof, allowing for easy use in the shower, and they're also travel friendly. Plus, Manscaped offers a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you can try this bundle risk-free. Don't cut corners on your grooming routine. Update to the Beard and Balls bundle from Manscaped. Visit manscaped.com and use code Murrell to get 20% off plus free shipping. Whether you're suiting up for work, heading out for a night on the town, or just relaxing at home, Manscaped has everything you need to stay sharp. Your skin will thank you, and so will everyone else. Let's return to the domestic box office for this past weekend and look at some of our specialty charts. These are the per theater averages for February 7th through 9th. At number 1 is Armand, which made $11,737 per theater, playing in 2 theaters. Armand is a family drama starring Renata Reinsve, which was nominated for Best First Feature at the Directors Guild Awards. In second place is A Woman is a Woman, a remastered version of Jean-Luc Godard's 1961 film. In third is Parthenope from Paolo Sorrentino, about an intoxicating young woman who catches the eye of all the men around her, including Gary Oldman. In fourth place was Becoming Led Zeppelin, bringing in $6,988 in 369 theaters. And in fifth place is I Love You Forever, which played in just 1 theater and brought in $5,548 in that theater. I Love You Forever is a look at a relationship gone wrong. These are the top 5 films in limited release, which I define as 1,000 theaters or fewer. Becoming Led Zeppelin is at number 1, bringing in $2.5 million in 369 theaters. I'm Still Here comes in second place with just over $1 million in 704 theaters. Then we have Tandel with $653,000 in an unknown number of theaters. It's a film from India about a fisherman who's captured by Pakistan. In fourth place is Vida Muyarchi, a Tamil language film, which played in an unknown number of theaters and brought in nearly $400,000. This movie is about a man's search for his missing wife. And in fifth place was Detective Chinatown 1900, which was playing in an unknown number of theaters here in North America, bringing in $384,000. Just outside this top 5 was Parasite, which brought in just over $350,000 in 193 locations with its IMAX re-release. Looking at the 2025 annual domestic box office, these are movies released in 2025. Dogman is in first place at $54.2 million, followed by One of Them Days, which moves up 1 spot to number 2 at $39.2 million. Den of Thieves 2 Pantera drops down 1 spot to number 3. Flight Risk remains at number 4, with Wolfman at number 5 and Companion at number 6. Heart Eyes debuts at number 7 domestically for the year so far. Presence drops down 1 spot to number 8. Love Hurts debuts at number 9, and Brave the Dark drops 2 spots to number 10. Sankrantiki Vasthunam and Game Changer, 2 films from India, are both out of the overall 2025 domestic top 10. When we look at the 2025 annual domestic box office as far as all movies in release, whether they were released in 2024 or 2025, this is just ticket sales since January 1st. Mufasa the Lion King is at number 1 with $107.1 million worth of tickets sold this year, followed by Sonic the Hedgehog 3 at $81.5 million. Dogman comes in third, up 4 spots from last week with $54.2 million. Moana 2 drops down 1 spot to number 4. Nosferatu drops down 1 spot to number 5. A Complete Unknown drops down 1 spot to number 6. One of Them Days moves up 2 spots to number 7, followed by Wicked at number 8. Den of Thieves 2 Pantera at number 9. And staying put at number 10 is Flight Risk with $25.1 million. I would imagine we would have at least one movie that will be added to this chart next week. So that's what's going on at the box office. Let's take a look at the world of streaming, and we'll start with the latest numbers available from Netflix. These numbers are the global viewing numbers, and they cover January 27th through February 2nd. At number 1 for a third week is Back in Action. It had a drop in views, but it remained number 1 with 35 million hours watched and 18.42 million views. The Night Agent Season 2 remained in second place with another 15.24 million views. The Trauma Code Season 1 debuts on the top 10 in third place with 11.93 million views. This is a South Korean medical drama. In fourth place is Luca's World, a Netflix original movie with 8.35 million views. It's a movie from Mexico about a mother who takes her son to India to get treatments for cerebral palsy. In fifth place is The Sentinel, one of those random movies that just happens to pop up. It was released in 2006, starring Michael Douglas and Kiefer Sutherland, about a Secret Service agent wrapped up in an assassination plot. In sixth place was The Recruit Season 2, which debuts with 5.89 million views. Then we have Pushpa 2, The Rule, which we saw in the box office charts several weeks ago with 5.84 million views. Under the Boardwalk debuts there at number 8. This is not a Netflix original film. It's a 2023 animated movie about crabs at the Jersey Shore, featuring the voices of Keke Palmer and Michael Cera. It was at one time slated for a theatrical release, but ended up really not getting one and going straight to streaming instead. In 9th place is American Manhunt O.J. Simpson, which brought in 5.46 million views, because I guess we don't know enough about the O.J. case 30 plus years later. And in 10th place was Squid Game Season 2, which remains in the top 10 for another week with 5.22 million additional views. And looking at the most watched programs on Netflix so far this year, these are the views since December 30th of 2024. Squid Game Season 2 is at number 1 with 116 million views, but Back in Action is gaining. It has 112 million views in second place. Ad Vitam comes in third place at 54.5 million views, followed by Missing You and The Secret Life of Pets 2. American Primeval is in sixth place, followed by Carry On and Squid Game Season 1. The Night Agent Season 2 is one of the 10 most watched programs of 2025 so far, with 29.19 million views. That bumps XO Kitty Season 2 down to number 10, and the Netflix original series The Breakthrough off of the top 10 altogether. And when we look at the most viewed Netflix series since 2021, when Netflix shared their numbers, The Night Agent's bump in viewership due to the debut of the second season puts it back into the top 10 at 109.43 million views. That drops Money Heist Part 4 out of the top 10. The rest of the top 9 remain the same, including Squid Game Season 1, now at 310.29 million total views, Wednesday Season 1 at 252.13 million views, and Squid Game Season 2 at 178.89 million views. Let's take a look now at the latest numbers from Nielsen. Now, these are domestic numbers only, and they're delayed by about a month because it takes Nielsen a while to get those numbers out. Let's look at the most watched streaming movies here in the U.S. from January 6th through the 12th, 2025. Horizon, an American Saga Chapter 1, takes the number 1 spot for a second consecutive week with 8.7 million hours watched. Then we have Despicable Me 2 and the original Despicable Me at numbers 2 and 3 on various different streaming services, so people wanting to watch Minion-adjacent movies. In fourth place was In the Heart of the Sea on Netflix at just over 5 million hours watched. Then we have Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, which debuted on Netflix at the beginning of the year at 4.8 million hours watched. Ad Vitam enters the chart at number 6 with 4.5 million hours watched. Then we have The Fall Guy, which moved over to Amazon Prime Video and re-enters the top 10 at 4.1 million hours watched. Interstellar is at number 8. Moana, the perennial favorite, re-enters the chart at number 9. And Rush Hour hits the chart at number 10 on Netflix with 3.7 million hours watched. No explanation other than the Netflix algorithm is going to do what it does. Looking at the most watched streaming shows in the U.S. from January 6th through the 12th, Squid Game remains on top with 39.4 million hours watched. Landman continues to put up very strong streaming viewership at 22.9 million hours watched. American Primeval debuts on the chart in third place at 20.9 million hours watched, followed by Bluey and Bob's Burgers rounding out the top 5. Then we have Virgin River on Netflix, The Equalizer, Grey's Anatomy, Missing You, and Dexter. When we look at the top shows as far as watch time per available episode, the docuseries Jerry Springer Fights Camera Action is at number 1 with 3.5 million hours watched per episode for each of its 2 episodes. Then we have American Primeval at 3.48 million hours watched per episode. Very close race there for number 1. Missing You comes in third place with 2.5 million hours watched per episode. Squid Game comes in fourth at 2.46 million hours watched per episode. Landman rounds out the top 5. Then we have Beast Games at number 6 with 1.35 million hours watched per episode. Again, it's doing well on this chart, but has yet to make the overall top 10 as far as the most watched when you look at raw hours watched. Silo comes in 7th place, followed by The Traitors, Virgin River, and The Equalizer. And one quick update when we look at the most watched original streaming series according to Nielsen ratings reports since 2020. Much like one of the other charts we were just looking at, the top 9 remain the same, but Squid Game moves up to 10th place at 435.4 million hours watched. That drops Wednesday out of the top 10, but keep in mind that's 2 seasons of Squid Game to 1 season of Wednesday, and I'm sure when the second season drops, supposedly later this year, that Wednesday will rocket back up the chart. You should also keep an eye on Cobra Kai there in 7th place because the final part of the final season will be hitting this upcoming week. So when those numbers come in, I would anticipate it jumping over The Crown at least. And that's all I've got for you as far as streaming ratings, but there is a busy week as far as things that you might be interested in theaters or watching at home. So let me break down some of that for you. First of all, in theaters now and playing through Thursday is Attack on Titan: The Last Attack, which is a theatrical presentation of the final 4 episodes of Attack on Titan. It was originally slated for a one-night release, but it is now available for the next few nights. So if you want to go see that, you have a little bit of a chance. The Witcher: Sirens of the Deep is also available now on Netflix. It's an animated movie spin-off from their one-time popular series. On Thursday, Bridget Jones' Mad About the Boy hits Peacock streaming here in the US. It'll be a theatrical release elsewhere. Renee Zellweger returns for another movie about Bridget Jones. As I mentioned before, Cobra Kai Season 6 Part 3, it's a lot more like Attack on Titan than you'd think just from looking at it, hits Netflix, as well as Sly Lives, aka The Burden of Black Genius. It debuts Thursday on Hulu. This is Questlove's follow-up to his Oscar-winning documentary Summer of Soul. And also releasing on Thursday is Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone from Fathom Events. They're releasing the first 4 Harry Potter movies over 4 consecutive nights, and they'll be repeating that release structure over the next 2 weeks. So if you don't see these first 4 movies this week, you'll have another chance next week and the week after. Of course, on Friday, the big release is Captain America: Brave New World, which will be hitting theaters. I'll be hitting the road to go see it, and unless something happens, you should see my review when the embargo drops on Wednesday morning. Paddington in Peru will also hit theaters here domestically. It has been in theaters for a while, especially for our friends across the pond. In limited release this upcoming weekend is Neja 2, so it's moving outside of the Chinese exclusive release. So if you want to see what is now the highest grossing movie in a single market of all time, you can possibly see it this weekend. Also in select theaters this upcoming weekend are the 3 different Oscar shorts compilations, the short documentaries, short animated films, and short live action films. So if you're an Oscar completionist, check your local theater listings to see if it's playing near you. SNL 50, the Homecoming concert, will air on Peacock this Friday night. It is a Radio City Music Hall spectacular featuring numerous artists from across the decades as Saturday Night Live prepares to celebrate its 50th anniversary. Streaming on Friday on Apple TV Plus is the original movie The Gorge, directed by Scott Derrickson. Anya Taylor-Joy and Miles Teller play 2 snipers guarding a mysterious gorge. I'm guessing that would be the titular gorge. Releasing on Friday is Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets through Fathom Events, and also debuting on Friday is Yellow Jackets Season 3 on Showtime and Paramount Plus. Finally on Friday's a busy day, Love is Blind Season 8 will help you ring in Valentine's Day on Netflix. Then on Saturday, Fathom will be releasing Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. And on Sunday, Saturday Night Live's 50th anniversary special will be airing live on NBC. I'm personally looking forward to that. Also debuting on Sunday is Season 3 of The White Lotus on HBO and Max. Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire will be released through Fathom Events on Sunday. And the BAFTA Film Awards will also be airing on Sunday. If you are not in the UK, you can catch them through the streaming service BritBox. And I'll be providing reviews and coverage of many of the things that you just saw on that list, so mark your calendars and be sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell so you know when I post a new video right here on the channel. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Charts with Dan. Stay tuned for my Captain America: Brave New World review tomorrow morning and possibly a spoiler review this upcoming weekend if there's enough for me to say. And stay tuned here, as always, for the latest movie news, reviews, box office, and more. Thanks to the sponsors for this week's episode. Check the description down below for more information about them. And as always, until next time, stay safe, and I'll see you then. Bye.